So we know technology is constantly changing when it comes to these consoles. We also know that developers learn them as they go along. Each new console generation brings along almost sort of a reset where they have to kind of relearn the hardware, and we don't get games that look as good at the beginning of a generation as we get towards the end. You can look at a simple game like Halo 3 versus Halo 4. Halo 3 came out in 2007, Halo 4 2012, and you can see a stark contrast to how far along graphics and things like that came. You can even go further than that if you want to go look at a game that came out as a launch title in Call of Duty 2 on the Xbox 360, and then look at where some of the games came out later on, like Black Ops 2 and things like that. You could see that there's a stark contrast, and I believe that's something that we'll continue to see. But now Digital Foundry was talking about something that I really felt was prudent to discuss, because they're talking about the Xbox Series X and the possibilities that it could be holding back gaming, and it could end up possibly being a 30 frames per second machine. Now, I don't think people want a 30 seconds machine. I mean, the whole reason why we bought into these new generation consoles was for the ability to go out there and, play these games at 60 frames a second. So I think that that's something that we're all going to have to look at ourselves and say, is this something that we want? We hope that that's not the case, but I do want to listen to what Digital Foundry had to say, and so we're going to do that right now, and then we'll come back and I'll give you my thought process on exactly what's going on.
I'm kind of
here's that
of the PS360 era, where Unreal Engine 3 was so prevalent, and to be fair, a lot of the games did look very similar, right?
Yeah.
I think that's the sort of concern that Tom has.
Also,
and it is a concern.
I would say large first-party studios, both actually Nintendo and Sony especially, I don't think we'll see them fully adopt Unreal Engine for their big titles, because they have the teams in place.
Both have used UE4.
They have, but not widely.
Exclusively.
Not
I can't see Guerrilla Games or whatever moving across.
Guerrilla, Naughty Dog, Insomniac, no way they're going to drop their in-house technology, I think.
Mm-hmm. Yep, fair enough. From my perspective, how do I feel about it? I won't know how I feel about it until I actually start to see the games. I think the issue that I have in the here and now is that there are concerns about the performance of Lumen and Nanite, and the challenges in getting 60 frames per second from that technology. It's not looking good at the moment. I guess that's my number one concern there, and I'm going to be interested to see how they make that happen, because I'm sure it will happen, but how they actually do it is going to be quite interesting, I think.
So you sort of see where they're coming from. They basically kind of flat out say Xbox and Nintendo and Sony are three different companies, but basically Nintendo and Sony use their own proprietary engines and things like that, so they won't really have to, I guess, worry as much about the situation with a game and how it runs and things like that, because they use their own engines. Like Guerrilla Games uses their own engine, and Nintendo uses their own engines, and that's something that probably won't change throughout this generation. While Unreal Engine 5 is a really good engine, they are questioning, will the Xbox struggle in the future with this? And I think it's a good question. I'm not going to doubt that Microsoft has the ability to do different things, though, when it comes to this, because the main thing that I actually believe that Microsoft will be able to do, and we can look no further than a team like, the Coalition, right? So we all know who the Coalition is. We also know that the Coalition are a fantastic developer, and we know that the Coalition is a team that can go out there and absolutely deliver quality games, and I think that that's something that we'll continue to see from them. Now, the interesting part that I find with this situation is the fact that, honestly, Microsoft and the Coalition are in a good position. Are things going to continue to change? Like, listen, whatever Unreal Engine that like Gears of War 5 is running on, they managed to push 120 frames with that. So I think that they'll be safe to say that they'll be able to figure out ways to push frame rates. I'm not saying that we need 120 frames on our console. I'm saying, 60 frames will be right. I can't imagine a world where we could go back to, Gears of War 6 playing at 30 frames per second. I don't think that's going to happen. I think that maybe Richard Ledbetter is a little bit upset, maybe a little bit kind of in the wrong here with how he feels about this stuff. I do feel like, when it comes to what Microsoft is doing, they do have people using certain game engines like Unreal Engine 4, but they're not the only ones. Like, a lot of studios use Unreal Engine 4, and I find it hard to believe that we're going to not have any 60 frames games. Or like, the whole reason and one of the things that they were doing with the technology was to also include the ability to scale down the resolution in order to up the other things. So even though when we see like the Matrix game, you guys remember that demo was an incredible demo, that was 30 frames per second, but at the same time I feel like they probably could have did some things to up that to 60 frames. Like, we don't know, like the optimization, that's a little demo that these companies, including the Coalition, put together in like 10 days or something. Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how that works out and how everything kind of handles itself. Like for me personally, I don't think it's an issue. I think that sometimes that a lot of these people find a reason to maybe doubt Xbox a little bit more. Looking at some of the engines that they use, like Halo uses the Slipspace engine, Forza uses Forza engine, Fable is going to use a modified Forza engine. So it's really kind of hard saying about what we're going to see and what's going to change, but obviously, I think that Unreal Engine 5 is going to be able to run fine on PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X and things like that. I don't think, personally, I know that he's kind of a bit of a downer on this thing, but he does say that, hey, you know what? They'll find a way to do it, and I truly believe that too. I think that they're going to find a way to do it and get everything up and running the way that it should. I know for a fact that we don't want to see the Xbox running at 30 frames per second. That's not something that anybody wants to see. So hopefully we get some kind of change there before too long. That's the idea anyway. And I'm sure a lot of you have a lot of opinions on it. Let me know what you guys think though. How do you guys feel about this? I mean, obviously Sony and Nintendo aren't running Unreal Engine 4 nearly as much, but it still begs the question, maybe what will we see in the future, and hopefully we see some interesting things. I mean, honestly, that's the whole idea behind this is, hey, are we going to ever see some of these games maybe running at, let's just say 60 frames, just because it's a new engine or whatever, doesn't mean that, obviously it's not capable of doing these things. So I think that's the hope from everybody, is we all want to see some amazing things, but what will we see? That's the question. So with that being said, I'm Crap Gamer. This is Crap Gamer Reviews, your home of gaming news, opinions, reviews, and much more. Thank you for watching one of my videos. If you enjoyed the video, please leave a like. It helps the video to be seen and the channel to grow. Have a fantastic day. Rack 'em up, fact 'em up, Crap Gamer 'em up. Thank you so much for watching. Crap Gamer out.